Huh? Yeah. No, it's in that building, but the commissioner never does it.
Okay, before we start the meeting, I just want to take a moment to introduce our new deputy who started this year for Allegheny Sheriff is our Village of Black Creek deputy. We got Cody Bagolke back there. So like everybody, as time allows, welcome him and look forward to his service coming up this next period of time. So Cody is familiar with Black Creek, and some of you may have already met him in years past. So I just wanted to mention that. And thank you, Cody. Also, for those of you who don't know, I put a president update on the website. For those of you who didn't see it yet, if you go on the website, go on the government tab.
It's going up tomorrow.
And there's a spot for president update. I had one last month, and there'll be another one this week. So if you have any questions about anything I put on there, please contact me. It's an effort to communicate, and I welcome residents, taxpayers to communicate and let me know what you're thinking. With that, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Shannon Blaze.
Present.
Rebecca Bird. Here. Tim Dearmeyer.
Here.
Andy Gibson.
Present.
Corey Johnson.
Here.
Tyler Rasmussen.
Here.
Justin Stingle.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. I only do this once a month, I always forget. Minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Got a motion made to accept the minutes, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion made and seconded to accept the minutes, any discussion? I'll look for a vote to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Financial report. Any questions or concerns on the financial report? Okay, if not, then we'll put those on file. Rural Fire Committee update. There was a couple meetings, one where the Rural Fire discussed the amended ambulance contract. We'll be discussing some of that later on in the meeting. At the last meeting, the Rescue Service presented year-end financials to the Rural Fire Committee. They were part of our board packet tonight, so if anybody's curious, you can look at that. There was discussion on presenting monthly financials, and some of that the board may discuss later on in this meeting. One thing I wanted to mention, the Rescue Service did present us with year-end statistics for their calls. Not a whole lot of detail, but just enough that we can talk a little bit about it. So in 2025, they had 173 total calls for service, which was about a 12% increase over 2024. Reasons for dispatch, fall is the most common one, 28. Breathing problems, 15. Chest pain, 19. Sick person, 14. Obviously, there's more calls than that, but those were the top 4. One thing I wanted to mention is they also included how many paramedic intercepts they had this past year. They had a total of 14, 9 of which went to Gold Cross, 5 went to County Rescue. So that's 8% of their calls were using paramedic services. And what occurs then is the crew on the ambulance determines the needs of the patient. Our advanced EMTs can put a 12-lead EKG on a patient and read the rhythm to determine if the patient is having a heart attack. So based on that, that's when they'll determine if they need a paramedic intercept for that. Other than that, common reasons to call a paramedic intercept is recently paramedics have been able to give whole blood. So say somebody has had a traumatic injury, the squad can call for whole blood for paramedics to help that patient. Also, one thing our advanced EMTs occasionally call paramedics for is for pain management. And paramedics are able to help patients based on that need. So I just wanted to share that information with you. We don't recall the last meeting, Tim wasn't there. Whoops, I blew by the minutes. Anything else we should add, Rebecca?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Okay. I did finally get over my cold, so hopefully I don't start coughing. Alright, so that's it for Rural Fire Committee update. Library update, Katie.
Yeah, we're excited for 2026. Our programming starts back up this week, so story time is tomorrow at 10:30, and winter and spring programming will go through May 1st, and then we'll break before summer reading. So we're excited for a bunch of new programs that are coming out. You'll be able to check our website and a new brochure that will be coming hopefully next week with all of the programming updates. Other than that, we are doing well, and we did do a little mini fundraiser along with the Friends of the Library. They put up a giving tree for us in the month of December, and we did have several patrons drop off books and DVDs and things for the library, so that was a fun community involvement for us in December. So everything else is looking good.
Awesome, thank you. So our guests, you guys just wanna talk when we have discussion about the contracts?
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds like a good idea.
Alright. Finance, approve the payment of vouchers.
Can we table that till she's finished?
Sure. In case she has some
For
questions.
first time, yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to that, somebody throw something at me if I forget it. Utility, MSA's wastewater treatment facility project update. Need a motion to discuss that?
I'll make a motion to discuss MSA's wastewater treatment facility project update.
Okay, the motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have multiple seconds to discuss MSA's wastewater treatment facility project update. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? Okay, Sherry,
welcome. I'm Sherry Scott with MSA, a project engineer at the office. I just want to give you an update on the facilities plan for the wastewater treatment plant that we've been working on. We began working on this in 2022, so it's been a few years now. We worked with the major industry in town and the village staff to come up with future flows and loads at the facility so that we make sure that the plant is designed large enough to meet, we end up projecting things out for 20 years about. That's what the DNR requires us to do, so we wanna make sure that everything's sized correctly to meet any future needs at the plant, and we have everything included. You're probably asking why the plant needs to be upgraded. It was last upgraded in 1996, so doing the math, we're about 30 years old. And wastewater treatment processes are very harsh, a lot of things are corroded, it's very wet, corrosive environment, so the village wants to use their funds in the most efficient and beneficial way for the community. There's some major upgrades that are needed, and taking those into account in this upgrade to be able to utilize funding opportunities for them. Additionally, the DNR has, obviously since 1996, has changed some of the permit requirements for communities around the state, including Black Creek, so obviously the permit requirements get tighter. They add new permit requirements to communities as well. And then the DNR has also changed their codes for how you size facility plan, or facilities since 1996, so we take all of that information, put it into a facilities plan, evaluate some alternatives for the upgrade. We provided Saputo and the village staff and the public works committee some cost breakdowns for the alternatives as well over the last several months. Additionally, we've begun preliminary design on the wastewater treatment plant, and Shane can give you a little update on where that is next. But in order for us to get the facility plan approved by the DNR, we need to go to a public hearing process, and we're working on ironing the date out for that. It'll be in the beginning of February. Working with Barb and Corey on that and the time. It'll likely be in this room. But we'll give a presentation to the community. We'll hear your comments, and then we'll submit it to the DNR for a regulatory review. They need to complete that process in order for the village to be eligible for the public funding that the DNR has available for projects like this. I guess in the meantime, the village is working with a municipal advisor to help work on rates and fees. They're gonna work on continuing negotiations with Saputo on a service contract and hopefully a design partnership agreement. Anything I missed? Corey or Andy or Tim?
I think so.
At the moment, there'll be a lot more details at the public hearings.
Yeah, the public hearing, we'll have a PowerPoint presentation, we'll have a lot more information, we'll go into the nuts and bolts of everything there. But I think we just wanna make sure we're ready to go to public hearing to keep the process moving, so that you are eligible for funding. Thank you. And then-
Thank you, Sherry.
That's about to stand.
That's the spot to stand, I guess. I nominated.
Alright, I'm Shane Dennis, I also work with MSA, I'm a project manager there. I'm helping Sherry on the actual treatment plant upgrades project. So last month you guys hired us to start delving into the preliminary design of things. Our contract was essentially broken up into 4 different things, so this would be the project update that you have in front of you. So the first portion of that was site investigative work. So a lot of that is the soil borings work, which is the proposal we have in front of you guys today, as well as a topographic survey, and then some preliminary building layouts. So we've completed a majority of the topographic survey. We still have to go out and grab a few more items, but just planning things out with locate tickets and stuff like that. We're just waiting to make sure it's worth everybody's time. In terms of the soil borings work, we did reach out to 4 firms, so we put a proposal together and we give them a few weeks and say, all right, give us your best price to do this work. So the proposal in front of you is for, the lowest responsible bidder that we got. Sent out 4, we received 2 back in return. We had 2 others that just said they couldn't make the timeline work. There are others in Wisconsin, however, we really only send it out to the 4 that we would trust with some of this work. We have previous experience with other ones, and that's why we limited it to the 4 that we have. Or some are just too far away that they wouldn't be able to compete anyway, so we try not to waste their time as well. At the bottom of this page, we talk about some of the codes that we're starting to apply. So we've taken a tour of you guys' existing plant. We went around, asked Scott about what he likes, what he doesn't like, and then started looking at what you guys need. And then we take that, we start coming up with some preliminary building and room layouts. And then we start looking at, okay, what does the modern day building code say about this room, this room, and this room? And that gives us a really good idea of what upgrades actually need to happen. So we're part of the way through that, and then the final will be in our final deliverable. Next month, the last part of that first phase will be a hazardous materials survey. All that is we go on site and we test different materials. So if you have insulation, we make sure it's not asbestos insulation. That comes in handy come time for bidding. The contractor knows that, okay, I have to think about remediation here, here, here. If you don't do it now, or we don't do it now, what ends up happening is they start ripping stuff out and they go, hey, I have to have a hazardous materials landfill to take this to. It ends up in a big change order. So we get that knocked out right away. We do that in-house. That's not something that gets hired out. And then we're also scanning your guys' plant. So essentially all they do is they put a little machine and it takes essentially a scan of the room and tells us everything that's in there and gives us a 3D model. So they just completed that this past week as well. So in terms of the second phase, that was our process modeling and schematic design. That goes into kind of the biology and chemistry that we're looking at, what needs to go into your plant, taking into account everything that currently goes there. So we're part of the way through that, but that will be a continued process as we go on. The third phase in this was equipment evaluation. So essentially we look at, all right, if you need 20 new pumps, what do those pumps need to be able to do? And then the next step in that will be meeting with Scott, seeing, all right, what preferences do you guys have to work with? And then we also plan on going to a few other facilities where they have matching equipment and saying, all right, what do you guys like and don't like about this as they've been installed for a few years? So, and then the fourth phase is the preliminary design report that essentially takes all of our findings from phases 1 and 3 and puts it into a design report with updated cost estimates, site layouts, and building layouts as well. So the next steps is we're just gonna continue evaluating, like I said, the process design. So that's the biology and chemistry that'll go into actually treating your wastewater, and then also the equipment evaluation. So continuing to look at what are the needs of the plant, what are the needs of the equipment, what manufacturers do we want to specify in the final documents. Any questions on that? I went through a lot.
I know we'll get into a little bit more detail in the meeting today when we vote on some of the items, but I think that covers it very well at this point, so.
Thank you. Streets, DPW, update, did you have anything, Steve?
Just a few things on streets part of it. So just a little report in between the pesky little snowfalls and ice storms we've been having. Working on vehicle and maintenance repair. The Wallace is gonna be coming in to do repairs to the sanitary sewer system, depending on weather. We're gonna get going on that shortly. And then Burdick Street update, still waiting to hear back on my grant application. We won't hear anything till April. I anticipate it's really gonna be a challenge to, when we don't get any word back till April, that we're gonna have to hit the ground running when we do get word, because we have to do this project while the kids are out of school. So it's gonna be a challenge if we don't get word till April to get specs written up, out for bid and then back, and get the project completed by the end of August. We're gonna have to have the ducks in a row if the grant comes through, so. that's where we're at with street updates, unless anybody has any questions.
Everybody good? Okay, thank you. Nothing in IMP, so buildings and grounds. Steve, did you have anything there?
Just a couple items, as far as the audio system for this room, we had money in the budget for it this year, I contacted Corporate Network Solutions, they'll be coming in and doing that, and hopefully have it up and running for the next board meeting. So, that's in the works. New proposed public works building, we've had probably 5 meetings with the architect already, we have 2 remaining meetings coming up the following 2 weeks. Plans should be finalized, we need to get them in front of committee, before the February meeting. In order to stay on track with the timeline, we need to have the plans presented to the board, to you guys at the next board meeting. So, that's the plan there, so.
Okay. Everybody good? Alright, thank you, Steve. Moving on. Ordinance, discuss and consider for approval an operator's license for Dana Berg and Tracy Burns. I'll be looking for a motion to start that discussion.
I'll make a motion to discuss and consider for approval an operator's license for Dana Berg and Tracy Burns.
Okay, I have a motion made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to discuss and consider for approval an operator's license for Dana Berg and Tracy Burns. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah. How's the application?
Deputy Hewitt ran backgrounds on both and did not locate a criminal history within a specified time period for either person.
Okay. Sounds like they met the criteria, so any other discussion? Okay, if there's no more discussion, I'll be looking for a vote to approve. No? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve an operator's license for Dana Berg and Tracy Burns.
Okay. Got a motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to approve operator's license for Dana Berg and Tracy Burns. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business. Discuss and consider for approval the 2026 Saputo wastewater collection and treatment contract. Looking for the motion to discuss.
I'll make a motion to discuss and consider for approval the 2022 Saputo wastewater collection and treatment contract. 2026. Looking right at it. 2026 Saputo wastewater collection and treatment contract.
Alright, we got a motion made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion made and seconded to discuss and consider for approval the 2026 Saputo wastewater collection and treatment contract. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
So we made some updates to the, we made some updates to the contract, some things that for the last handful of years, they've been just kind of, let's just keep moving forward without doing too much with this, because we're gonna be doing a new plant. We did too much of that we need to find a way to get more on par with where collection should be there. So we made some updates to that. We do have, the signed by Saputo and returned to us. So if we approve this, then we make a signature now and move forward with the contract as it is now.
Guess the main thing was we did look at some fees and change them. That's probably the biggest difference in this year's contracts. Any more discussion?
Now, will this be a yearly contract that we sign with them, or is this signed and then it just goes to the plant is built?
So this is a contract as of right now for this year and next year. There will be a new service agreement once we have the plant upgrade done and operating to that point, because it'll be different parameters that we'll look at and have more information in that study of that work. So this is updating it prior to that one. So there will be a different service contract once that renovation is complete.
Do we know yet, and don't hit me, are they gonna pre-treat? Have we figured it out yet with them, or is it definitely not gonna pre-treat and it's gonna filter into us?
As of right now, the plant has been designed and we're moving forward with, them sending us their full strength industrial waste, as they have been.
Now, can we, if they decide to pre-treat, can we back out of that plan and, or are we going down a rabbit hole we probably don't wanna go down?
If changes happen, that'll be a very interesting conversation, as to what that would turn into and what we would be up against in certain timelines. So far, the conversations we've had with Saputo is they plan to send us their full strength waste, and we're moving forward with that at this point.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 Saputo wastewater collection and treatment contract.
Okay, I have a motion made, do I have a second? We have a motion made and seconded to approve the 2026 Saputo wastewater collection and treatment contract. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, new business, discuss and consider for approval wastewater treatment facility public hearing for facilities plan. Looking for a motion for that discussion.
I'll make a motion to discuss and consider for approval the wastewater treatment facility public hearing for facilities plan.
Okay, I have a motion made, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to discuss and consider for adoption, reading the next one. Discuss and consider for approval wastewater treatment facility public hearing for facilities plan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
So as Sherry had discussed before, the next steps that we need to take are having a public hearing for the facility. So that way it's presented to the public again, and then questions and comments from the public, so. I guess unless there's more to elaborate on that, at this point, we can ask Sherry, otherwise she did touch on that in her information before, so.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. So we need a motion to approve the date and time, is that what we're looking for?
Do you need a motion for that, or is the motion
I think they just asked for a motion to have a public hearing.
Yep. So I'll make a motion to approve the wastewater treatment facility public hearing for the facilities plan. And we'll figure out the details for sure, date-wise. It's gonna be early February, but we'll make sure that's properly noticed. So at this time, it's just giving the approval for the board.
I didn't have a motion made and seconded to approve the wastewater treatment facility public hearing for facilities plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the motion approved. Alright, now the one I almost started talking about, item number 3, discuss and consider for adoption, resolution 2026-1, loan application to the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands of Wisconsin. Looking for a motion for that discussion.
make a motion to discuss and consider for adoption resolution 2026-1, loan application to the Board of Commissioners of Public Land of Wisconsin.
We have a motion made, do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion made and seconded to discuss and consider for adoption, resolution 2026-1, loan application to the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands of Wisconsin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we have discussion, we do have an application.
I have a question on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. It says there shall be raised and there is levied upon all taxable property in the village, et cetera, a direct annual tax for the purpose of paying interest and principal as loan as they become due. Do we have numbers for that? Is there any further additional information surrounding that? Or is that just the unknown number?
I can't find it in my computer, but, I'm assuming that's just common language. You said the third paragraph down, is what you're looking at? 5.
Starts with resolved further, it's kind of center of the page.
I believe that may be common language because there is a possibility that a municipality can levy specifically for this loan. In this case, that's not what we're gonna do. Or is it, am I getting too? Or is it? Go ahead.
So there's the possibility for the village to add onto its levy limit worksheet the exact amount of that loan payment per year. In the past, the village has not done that. They've done their loan payments just in the budget, but there is the possibility for them to levy that specific payment per year on the tax. And so this is a 20-year loan, so that is a possibility for 20 years.
Can we change that to may instead of shall?
Well, so the levy, if they don't extra levy limit, they're still using their levy dollars to pay that. So they're required to do that.
I'm supposed to vote for a 20-year increase without having an amount
It doesn't mean increase.
or
Right,
possible
when they
increase?
budget it in their regular budget, they don't increase the levy. They don't add it onto the levy limit worksheet, so they're not increasing the levy. They're using the dollars that they have to pay for it. They have the option to add it as an extra.
So, there is a possibility that the village could have a loan where we may specifically add to the levy for, but in this case, typically our loans are paid out of the budget, which our levy dictates what's in the budget. Any other discussion? Okay, if there's no more discussion, I'll be looking for, adoption, a motion for adoption of the resolution.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-1, loan application to the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands of Wisconsin.
We have a motion made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to adopt resolution 2026-1, loan application to the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands of Wisconsin. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. I is some that didn't come up in the discussion. This loan is specifically for the balance from our stormwater project. So that's the reason for the loan. Item number 4, discuss and consider for approval American Engineering Testing's proposal for geotechnical services for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade in the amount of $38,100.
I'll make a motion to discuss and consider for approval American Engineering Testing's proposal for geotechnical services for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade in the amount of $38,100.
Okay, the motion made, do I have a second? I have a motion made and seconded to discuss and consider for approval MSA's professional service agreement for wastewater. No, wrong, I skipped a line again. Consider for approval American Engineering Testing's proposal for geotechnical services for wastewater treatment plant upgrade in the amount of $38,100. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Opposed? Okay, discussion?
You were looking at it before, you can, if you wanna get a little
Go
bit.
back to the spot here. So the proposal is for geotechnical services, so I alluded to soil borings earlier. Essentially all they're doing is going out onto your site and digging holes, you know, some 50, some 60 foot deep, and they tell us what the soils look like underneath. The reason we do that is because when we get into further design, the structural components of it, we don't have information telling us that either the soil is good or bad. You assume everything is bad, and you can drive up the cost of all of your concrete for your new structures, as well as when a contractor sees that, he thinks, oh man, I could have a possibility for bad soils here, here, here. You have to assume the worst, and it can drive up your costs really fast, and you really can't get those costs back in any way. Once they're out there, they're kind of out there, and if it happens to be good, they made themselves some extra money. This contract is not between MSA and AET, it's directly with the village. The reason we do that is because they have their own professional liability insurance. So if they were to subcontract underneath us, it would also fall under our liability insurance, and so it avoids our markup. So we do reach out to all the firms. Those were the proposals we had sent out and said, give us your best price. We have worked with AET in the past. They do a really good job, and so that's why we would recommend them. In our original contract, we did tell you guys that this would be outside. It was a little bit higher than what we had originally anticipated, but we did add a few more borings while on site than I think what we originally anticipated in the original contract. The only reason for that is to get the crews out there. It may cost you, you know, $5-6 grand, and to dig the hole, it's only $500. So while you have the crew out there, it's beneficial to you to punch as many holes as possible and get as much information, because if you need it later, it's not, you know, $500 a hole, it's $5,000 to get out there plus $500 a hole, so. Any questions on that?
Good. Thank you.
I have a question for you guys. Does their reaching out on the RP meet the requirement for having 3 bids? Legal requirement for having 3 bids? Does them doing it count for us, or do we have to do it ourselves?
So the bidding is for non-professional services, so geotechnical is considered a professional service, so you technically don't have to go out for proposal for anyone on these types of things. We do 4 just to make sure we have a good comparison point.
Okay, good question. Any other discussion? Okay, if there's no other discussion, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the proposal.
I'll make a motion to approve the American Engineering Testing's proposal for geotechnical services for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade in the amount of $38,100.
I have a motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Multiple seconds? All right, so we have motion made and considered, and seconded to consider for approval American Engineering Testing's proposal for geotechnical services for a wastewater treatment plant upgrade in the amount of $38,100. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, discuss and consider for approval MSA's professional service agreement for wastewater treatment plant utility operations 2026 to 2027. Looking for a motion for that discussion.
I'll make a motion to discuss and consider for approval of MSA's professional service agreement for wastewater treatment plant utility operations 2026 to 2027.
Yeah, I have a motion made, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded to discuss and consider for approval MSA's professional service agreement for wastewater treatment plant utility operations 2026 through 2027. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Start the discussion. Did one of you wanna jump in, or?
Sure, my name's Sean Geiger, I'm your, operator in charge. Scott's actually your village employee, but the DNR requires, number of years of experience to submit the reports. So I've been doing that, I stop in once a week, I'm here like 5.5 hours a week. I just go through the plant, take care of reporting, and keep the DNR off their back. So if there's any issues, the DNR comes to me and we deal with it, so.
Okay,
You guys have any questions, or?
good. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Corey, you have anything? Should have one. Pardon me? I talked to him this morning, it sounded like his certification was completed recently. So it's kinda up in the air how often Sean may have to stop. But we still will need some help from Sean and MSA, especially as we get working on the construction and stuff, so, and then, once the plant, that all starts, then Scott will definitely need more help. Sound about right?
Yeah, sorry if I interrupt,
Yeah.
I'm not just at wastewater, I can help out public works also. So,
Now we know that.
I'll see you tomorrow. The only thing I can't do is plow snow and mow lawns.
Got a lot better job than that.
So those are the two main jobs they want us for, but just so you guys know.
Well, that's good to know.
And when you look at this, you see a rate schedule, so it's based on need, it isn't based on, this is just flat, we're all
Yeah.
gonna do, it's based on the need, and Scott has been doing an extremely good job, at what he's doing, and Sean has been doing that over and over again.
I will second, yep, Scott's doing a very good job.
So-
Very aggressive with his classes and progressive, and very good, so.
A lot of Sean's expertise is handy for the reporting to the DNR. It's something that's fun for anybody.
Yeah, we just got a new rep, just so you know.
Oh.
I haven't met him yet, but.
Okay, well. Better not comment.
No. He gave me some to-do list, to-do stuff already, so.
Alright, any more discussion? Okay, so I'll be looking for a motion to approve the service agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve MSA's professional service agreement for the wastewater treatment plant utility operations 2026-2027.
I have a motion made, do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to consider for approval MSA's professional service agreement for wastewater treatment plant utility operations, 2026 to 2027. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 6, discuss and consider ongoing 2025 ambulance agreement / amendments. Looking for a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to discuss and consider ongoing 2025 ambulance agreement amendments / amendments.
Okay, I have a motion made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion made and seconded to discuss and consider ongoing 2025 ambulance agreement / amendments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so as many of you know, we've been discussing this for going on 3 months, I believe. So, recently the board approached Rural Fire Committee about some amendments that the board would like to have. Rural Fire came back with not approving our amendments, so now it's back in our court to discuss those, what we want to do to move forward. So, I guess I would like to begin by sharing my thoughts. I wrote them down, so I'm less likely to do it. But, as we all know, there's been a fair amount of emotion over this, in some meetings, so I would appreciate if everybody would remain calm, courteous, respectful, during this discussion. For half a century, dedicated volunteers have served the village of Black Creek and its neighboring municipalities, committing significant time to training, practice, and ongoing education in order to provide essential services to local residents and surrounding communities. These individuals frequently make personal sacrifices, such as missing important family events, adjusting work schedules, or foregoing wages to respond to calls. Many plan their vacations and delay personal errands to ensure their availability. These committed personnel of Black Creek Rescue Service exemplify the dedication of volunteer EMS providers nationwide. Historically, Black Creek Rescue Service managed its own funding, with municipal government supplying ambulances and appropriate facilities for the ambulance and their needs for training and office space. Recently, there was revelations of financial misappropriation, which prompted a reorganization within the rescue service. With support from participating municipalities, Black Creek Rescue Service was able to recover financially. Since then, monthly financial reports have regularly been presented at Rural Fire Committee meetings. Due to limited daytime staffing and decreasing number of volunteers, Black Creek Rescue Service has recently requested additional funding to ensure continuous 24/7 coverage. And a lot of that has to do with their licensure with the state. They have to be able to cover calls or the possibility of their license gets in trouble with the state. So this is kind of reflective of broader national challenges, particularly in less densely populated areas where the cost of maintaining EMS services is significant. Over the past 3 months, the village board, Black Creek Village Board, has worked to identify an acceptable solution to both the original contract proposal and subsequent revisions. While the board has agreed to the financial terms, requirement for an audit of Black Creek Rescue remains a concern for partner municipalities due to unbudgeted costs. Although the other 3 municipalities have accepted the contract terms and are prepared to proceed, the Village of Black Creek's resolution is still pending. It is my sincere hope that the village board can reach an agreement on contract terms that satisfy all parties involved. Securing a contract for EMS services in 2026 is imperative. As elected representatives, our focus must remain on ensuring the continued provision of high-quality EMS service to our communities and its neighbors. Our partner municipalities remain ready and willing to collaborate towards this shared goal. So in essence, that's the village president's part of this discussion. I would also like, because of some of the discussion in the past, centers on a letter that the village board received from our attorney back on December 1st. There's a couple things I would like to point out for the discussion. In the first part, he touches on the loaded tasks because of politics and personalities. And in my view, that comment also lends to some of the emotional aspects we have experienced at our meetings. So if we have discussion, we need to be careful so that those emotions do not become part of our discussion. So I would, as we know, there has been some issues at previous meetings. And I would like to avoid those issues. As the village president and chair of these proceedings, I am prepared to adjourn the meeting if anything gets out of hand. And then we will have to come back and discuss this at another meeting. Okay? So I'm not only addressing the public, I'm addressing the folks at the table. So please bear that in mind. The other thing I wanted to point out, as most of you know, we have language in the contract. There's 90 days based on can't think of the word, funding, the cost of service, I guess we could say. And there's also a 120-day period where a municipality can terminate the contract. In my view, I'm looking at the last paragraph of that original letter. Our attorney does point out that we should have brought these questions forward back in April and May of 2025. That would have given us time to negotiate before that 120-day period. And then we wouldn't be in the spot we are now. And that's my opinion, it's part of the discussion. So now we have that 90-day period that would rural fire committee was trying to use to terminate the contract, and legally, according to our attorney, that isn't possible within 90 days because the board has agreed to the funding request. It's just a matter of what we wanna do for the financial disclosures that this board has discussed, and also the audit. It's been made very clear to me that our partner municipalities do not want the costs associated for an audit put on them. So, for this discussion, in my view, the board needs to figure out what you wanna do. And it's quite possible if we are going to insist on an audit, the costs associated with it will have to come from us, which would entail a different meeting to figure out where we'll find that money. So that's where I'm at with my discussion. Is there anybody else?
So, the ambulance service rejected the amendments as proposed.
The rural fire.
Rural fire rejected the amendments as proposed. Are they rejecting all of the amendments as proposed, or one, or some, or encompassing all of it? Absolutely not. I guess what exactly was rejected? All of it, some of it? The financial audit part that you mentioned sounds like part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Are they, is there no willingness to do the financial statements as requested, and no willingness to do the quarterly installments as suggested? Just so I know exactly what is or isn't.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't touch on in the earlier discussion from the rural fire meeting. The ambulance has historically provided financials. They are more than willing to share financials with us. Typically, they're made available at the rural fire committee meetings. They did share their year-end profit and loss statement with us. And also, some other financial things. So the issue isn't sharing that information. That's readily available, and the representatives from the rescue service basically stated, tell us what you want. So, tell us what you want, and they can provide it. The audit is somewhat, I've been told, could cost upwards to $10,000. And that's the main point that, from what I gather, is the reason for rejecting our amendment. Moving forward, if we get past this, the rural fire committee chair did mention that moving forward, the partner municipalities will look at some of these practices. Rural fire will probably reorganize in some shape or form. The chair did mention that they have been in contact with professionals to help us move forward. By us, I mean the village, the town, for the rural fire committee aspect. You know, as many of you know, a lot of this was organized somewhat loosely 50 years ago. Okay, things change. So they're gonna be moving, hopefully we'll be moving forward to address those needs, working with our neighboring municipalities. Also looking at the future of our EMS, the future of Black Creek Rescue Service, the future of our EMS services that we all may be providing. There could be something new next year. But as I mentioned earlier, the challenge for our rescue squad as it sits is finding enough help to cover calls, in particular daytime calls. It's not unique to Black Creek, it's nationwide. There's professionals prepared to help us figure it out. Also, you know, I did recently speak with a professional that's helped us, looking for suggestions. One thing you mentioned, well, maybe it can just have whoever we designate meet with the rescue squad personnel to go over the financials in whatever shape or form or detail we would like. You know, we have been receiving monthly updates in the past. So I guess it's up to this board to decide if there's some parameters you would like to set. And then, you know, we'll have to decide what you wanna do with the audit, but, and then there again, the main sticking point there is the cost.
So, cost-wise, when you say upwards of $10,000, is that a starting point, or is that thought that that's the top? Because, I mean, somebody in the village at one point in time was charged with theft of 150, I don't know if it's greater than or less than. $10,000 seems like a penny in the bucket if we're losing hundreds of thousands. I'm not saying that's happening, but an audit is.
Yes, you have a point there. And Rebecca, did you get any firm quotes or?
I did, and I did submit, the one, to Dan, and they said basically, you know, I can't remember, I don't think I have it with me, but, basically, it all depends upon how far back they need to dig to get a good, picture of, yep, everything is accounted for. This is, you know, where it's at. They would start out at like a basic one, and I think it was like $175 an hour, if I remember correctly. And then it all depends upon, you know, the information and then kind of going from there. I guess what I don't understand is, so the approval of getting an audit was approved. It was approved by Rural Fire. We were in that meeting. So my question is, how can they now say, hey, no, we're not getting an audit? It was already approved. We were there.
Right.
So how does that work? How can we backtrack?
Okay. Yeah, I do recall seeing that in some minutes.
When we voted on it, Tim voted on it, I voted on it, Tom, Don voted on it, like.
Yeah, I think at that time, and even when we made that recommendation in our amendments, nobody really talked about the potential costs. So then, now we're back to what we're discussing now, so.
I think if you remember, I'm remembering it, if you remember at the time, that was when we were gonna have Jazeski do it.
No, it
Dan
was.
brought up having Jazeski's do it, but
That we
Rural
talked
Fire
about- talked about
agreed.
Not to do that.
Right, Rural Fire agreed that Rebecca would find quotes and her and Dan would
Yeah.
discuss those and bring them back to the committee, but it was approved to audit.
Didn't you bring up how to pay for it then, and he said they were fine with it?
I don't think we ever discussed how to pay for it, I would have to go back. And,
We were really the only two people involved.
and look back on the notes,
Calling the village.
what was said, but it was approved for an audit, but I do understand the cost. And the other piece that I will argue tooth and nail, regular financials are not provided at Rural Fire. Corey and I sat on that committee Never once was that folder handed to us. I've never seen that folder. The one time I've seen that folder, Andy, you handed it to me. That is it. It is not discussed at Rural
Okay.
Fire, the financials.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I
I will
can't
stick
speak
by
to
it.
what occurred before I was right on that committee. From what I understand, Tom Newbert always had that information and went
Correct,
through
he
it.
did, and he serves on the town where Jenny is the treasurer. That folder was handed to Tom, and then it was handed back to Jenny.
Okay, did anybody ever ask to see the folder?
I didn't know what the folder was, to be honest with you, because it was never discussed. Corey, did you ever know when you served on that committee?
No.
I mean,
When this came up, I asked that very same question.
thank you.
After the meeting, I asked.
What
Just
was
remember, I
that
just was on
training?
there.
Well,
It's my
yes,
second time there and this all comes up and I
Right.
said, and then Tom said, it's always here, it's here every time. He says, here, it's right there, you want it? Well, that's when he started saying, they're gonna give it every month.
Yeah, when I got on the committee, I made the point to look at it, so I can't speak for what occurred before that.
I
First two
understand.
meetings I was at, there was nothing that I even knew about that until it came up.
right.
When it came up, I asked,
I mean,
and he said, no, it's all right here, so that being said, I can't say anything about before either, but it's there now every time.
right.
So just, that's all I can say, that's all I know.
When we talked about this last time, didn't we discuss the costs? And when we said, you know, the first party rural fire, and accepted the fact that the village would be responsible for half of it at that point? Am I misremembering?
I don't recall discussing the
You know,
costs.
if you say rural fire is going to pay for it, right?
Right, the
And I
village
said
has
that
to
in one
pay.
of the minutes in our meetings, and that we need an audit and it needs to be paid for by rural fire, that would be, that statement alludes to half and half. But
Right.
just because I say that doesn't make it so.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, the village and the town are equally responsible for rural fire expenses, right? 50-50.
Correct.
So regardless if rural fire gets an audit, we're responsible for 50% of the cost.
Correct.
So I guess the biggest question then is if rural fire rejected it, that means Tom, Don, and Rebecca, Andy, or Tim voted to reject what the village board put in front of them. Because Rocky
You said
doesn't have,
rejected
rejected the amendments to the contract, because Rocky doesn't have voting power as the president. So Tom and Don could have voted no, so then my question becomes, where were the other votes after the village board voted here unanimously for these amendments? If I could be wrong, after the village board had voted to approve the amendments, who voted with the town members from the rural fire committee to reject the amendments?
I don't remember that, is it in the minutes?
I have to dig back
I'm
through
not
that.
saying I did or didn't.
Right, so the board approved it here, so I guess my assumption would be the committee would follow the board's wishes, right, that's what the board wished.
Unless there's something in there that wouldn't come up at that night that didn't come up here, and I'll give you a great example of that. The audit every other year. We're gonna do an audit every other year, because this is gonna be a one-year deal, because they're in that gap here, trying to figure out what EMS is gonna do.
Right, and
That's
once that
one of the
changes-
things that come up.
Right,
that-
but once that changes, this contract is null and void anyway.
Well,
so
yeah,
that-
so that's where that came up, that's one thing that's, would say, okay, we understand, no, we're not gonna vote, or even extending the contract, cause this 25 contract, which is what was being amended,
Right,
keeps going.
Right.
Well, they don't want that either, so that's gotta get out of there.
Right.
So there's just some of the things that I don't know if that's why, if I did, that's what I'm gonna guess I did it on, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
remember, I don't remember even voting on it.
right,
But that's the things why they didn't amend the 25, and why they needed to go back and work on some like the 2 years, the various things in there, there were 2 years this and 2 years that.
if I remember correctly, I don't think Rebecca was there, I think Mr. Gleason abstained, I think Tim voted with the committee to reject the,
I don't even think there was a
It's in
vote
there
on
December
that.
15th.
It's in the-
Yeah, it's in the minutes.
I know I voted to determination, that I know for sure. And that's why I'm saying, if I did that, I don't remember that vote,
Right.
that's why I would have done it. We don't need a 25 amended contract, we need a new 26 contract, and we don't need a every other year audit, we don't need some of those
Right.
things that were put in there, because it's only gonna be 1 year.
but the 25 was never ended, and it sounds like it
That's
can
where
be
the
ended, so we
termination
should.
comes from.
Yeah, but it sounds like we can't terminate it unless I misunderstood that part of the conversation. Sounds like it's, the
If-
attorney's letter was it can't be terminated because the village agreed to the financial part. So it's still gonna be an amended 25 agreement.
Speaking of which, did we ever vote on giving them the money? We
No,
talked about
keep
giving them
that.
the money, but we never voted on it.
Well, we have money budgeted, the part we have not.
The ambulance has not.
What's that?
You didn't put the money for the ambulance in there yet.
We have money in the budget for the ambulance,
The extra?
but not the extra.
That's what I meant.
The idea was to come to an agreement.
Right, that's what I
We
meant,
would-
then that's what I meant. We didn't vote to
Right.
approve the extra.
We have to, assuming
So we didn't
come-
come to terms on finance, on their finance.
We,
assuming we come to an agreement,
Right, that's all.
we need to meet
So we'll-
again to, as, whether it's a special meeting or next month's meeting, we need to meet again to amend our budget, which includes a resolution, and then we have to find that roughly $13,000. So that was my plan a month ago. And we're still thinking of planning that, so.
Did we ever get the information, or did you ever get the information requested by them, I think back in October? Regarding like some of the grant money that they received from the state, some of the previous financial stuff, I think it's, revenue and expenditures.
As far as I know, that information is in the hands of rural fire, because the ambulance ended up paying the bill for that work, and, the village did not pay for that. So that's where that information is, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, is it with Rural Fire, or, cause the last person that had it was Nathan in his backpack?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming Nathan probably still has it in his backpack,
I don't think so.
cause I know I don't know who at Rural Fire would have been
I
turned over
could,
to.
verify with them, but
But,
several weeks ago, he told me that the ambulance ended up paying that bill. And I believe it's in the custody of the rural fire.
because the challenge that I have is, I feel like we've asked for information, and when we ask for information, we get resistance, like with the open records request that we had put through, like, how many people do you have on the roster, right? Well, 24, okay, what are the names of the people you have on the roster? Like, I mean, and the only way I got the information was from the insurance company, to be honest, when I got a bill and I didn't understand what it was for. Like, a lot of this information that I'm getting is from the insurance company that insures it, and that's where
I understand.
the struggle is the transparency and not being held accountable. Like, no other entity here within the village, I mean, I serve on the library board. Katie does not do this. I mean, it's all right there out in the open. That's the struggle. Like, I don't feel as if there is
I
full transparency. And so, I mean, Jenny did state that she would be willing to go back and give us a year of, financials and information and things like that in place of, the audit. I mean, and I don't know if the board will be willing to entertain, that information, instead of, incurring the cost of the audit, I don't know. But she did offer to, give us whatever we would like, and, but not just on a report, but unfortunately the checks and balances, the everything, the proof behind it all.
Okay, well, since that period, we were given information for year-end. Jenny did say at the last rural fire meeting, just tell us what you want, what you need. I can't defend or explain any issues prior to November, I guess. So what I'm looking at is moving forward. I tried to point that out that when we originally voted on the original contract that the board did not approve. I think, and I'm pretty sure I made it clear in my earlier statement, we need to find a way to move forward. Okay, we've got our neighboring municipalities who could be not sure what term I wanna use, that could be left holding the bag financially if Black Creek Rescue, or Village of Black Creek does not come through, with a contract this year to move forward. I think we as a board have all agreed that we are willing to fund this year's contract. I'm just looking for a way forward. If you wanna put language in a contract for financials, we can do that. If you wanna have it, have an audit for 2025, well then somebody's gotta find the money for it. And from what I gather, our partner municipalities are viewing this as Black Creek trying to force them to do something this year. Something that we haven't budgeted for, the other municipalities have not budgeted for. So now we're trying to say, well, we gotta do an audit, and that's where we're getting the kickback from. So,
How does the other municipalities, cause if there's an audit, it's only the town, not the rescue, it's rural fire, so it's just the village and the township of Black Creek. So it's just those two municipalities, correct? Am I misunderstanding? How would the other municipalities have anything to do with this?
The only way that could happen is if, let's just use a number, $10,000. So
Right.
then we pass that on through the contract language to those two. And that's what they're saying they're not willing to do.
Nobody asked them to do that though.
No, but if we don't have any money to pay for it, then, and the town doesn't have any money to pay for the audit, or you look at what the total cost of the rescue service is and what percentage should those other two entities that are not part of it, well, you would add that in there, if you were going to do that.
They already signed their contract, their fees are set, you can't change them, they're all signed, their fees are set. That doesn't make any sense. Their fees are set, they signed their contracts, right? You said they signed everything.
Theirs are done now, yes.
Yes, theirs are done now.
That's all they're making that point, is they're not willing to pay more,
And they shouldn't have to, nobody.
and they wouldn't have to pay more, I agree.
Right.
So we would have to, the town and the village has to pay, and I agree, 100%.
yeah, it's just sharing the sentiment that was shared with
Yeah,
us.
they just said that they weren't, they're saying what you just said.
And typically, the way the expenses, the funded expenses from the municipalities have historically been paid per capita for each entity.
Right.
So that's where they're viewing, well, if we're gonna have $10,000, well, there's a possibility that each entity pays that percentage. And I agree with you, they've already agreed with that contract. So they wouldn't have to, but they were sharing the sentiment that they aren't willing to also.
I guess to your point, Tim, about the never ending, it's because the contract itself is never ending, that's why it says every 2 years. If the contract ends next year, then it's not a problem, but you write that in case it doesn't. Right, you write in a CYA. So that's why it says every other year, on off chance that it's not rewritten in a year, you still have the proper language in. It's just good practice.
So I guess the question that I have for the board is, are we willing to readjust these amendments taking out, the audit language. Because truthfully, the bigger picture is having conversations with Nathan and Ryan and Jenny. I mean, the bottom line is, there's not enough volunteers to really keep the rescue going long-term. I mean, back in August of 2025, in the meeting minutes, it stated that there was 3 active AEMTs. I asked at Wednesday's meeting, is that still the case? Yep, the majority, there's only 3 active AMTs that take the majority of the calls that are needed for, AMTs. And so, the bigger problem is we need to try to get some sort of, recruitment going in order to keep the rescue afloat. Otherwise, we're gonna be having a completely different conversation at the end of the year.
Essentially, that's what the consultant said.
You know.
He said, he cautioned us, he cautioned everybody he sees to not
I'd
overreact.
like to recognize Betsy, she wanted to address, I'm assuming.
When you say the 3 AEMTs, that there's only 3, there are more than 3 of us. It is that 3 of us are more active than some of the
Right,
others
correct.
because of when calls are coming in. I have to work a full-time job, I have to provide insurance for my family. I can't go during the day unless it's my day off. But I do respond. I'm one of the more active ones, along with Jenny and Nathan, again. But there are other events that go out. It's not just 3 of us, it's a matter of our availability when calls come in.
Mhm.
Okay.
No, I understand that,
It was the time.
but, yeah.
Okay.
And you're right. It
But
is
you guys
tough
do
to-
carry the largest percentage.
Of calls.
Yes,
Correct.
correct, the AMT, yes.
Correct.
Is what I was trying
And
to.
it's hard to get
reiterate.
people.
Yeah, and it needs to be added with the daytime, so it's clearly fixed.
You know,
It's just not
that's-
3 that are doing all the work because we just don't want to, it's the timing.
Correct, but at the end of the day,
It comes down to the same
we
thing.
need to get somehow,
Yeah, and that's where I was gonna go with the gap.
Or-
He suggested that nobody do anything, rash, nobody, do this or do that, good or bad, because he's seen both, where they spent a ton of money and that failed, and he's seen where they gave it up and that failed. He said, give it a gap year, and that's what this whole idea was, is to spend 2026, and by, if I'm still here, August, we better know what we're gonna be doing. In 2027, I'm talking about. Whether we have enough staff, whether we don't have enough staff, whether this idea of we're getting a stipend worked or didn't work, all of that has to be every single fire meeting talked about, in every single one. Where are we at? What's the next? What do we do? What do we do? Because this is a 1-year deal that's gonna last us essentially 6 months from now. We have to know where we're headed for 2027.
Right, but so to Andy's point earlier, this contract and some of the language should have been discussed in March or April, so
Correct.
when's the next meeting scheduled for a rural fire to follow up with this specialist?
That's my
Has there been legwork on what the specialist requested at that meeting?
Yeah, I can't answer those, but yes, that's what
I agree. You're already falling behind if you
We
haven't
have
had a
to-
second, third meeting.
we have to get going. And there's no question.
Right.
Miss, I don't know who you are, but.
I'm an EMT with Black Creek.
Okay,
I just wanted to mention that,
could you share your name?
Alicia Larson.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention that currently my AEMT class starts on Monday. I'm registered for it, but I'm in limbo for whether I'm gonna get my tuition paid because of this holdup. So there's potential that we would have another AEMT and I'd be in class on Monday, but we're in limbo because of this.
Thank you. Okay.
And, I really want the audit myself, just to clear the air. But we have to come up with the money. Or at least, right now, that's the way it looks.
No. If rural fire votes for the amendment or the audit, then it's split between the town and the village. So when it was put in front of rural fire and it was voted against, when we had the opportunity, it was shot down. So
They have to
regardless,
come up with
regardless
ways
of what
to
it
pay
is,
yeah.
it's 50-50 between the town and the village, because that's the agreement for rural fire.
I understand.
So, yeah, we'd still have to come up with half the money, but.
Wouldn't an audit also help answer some of the questions needing answered in order to move forward, right? Like,
For 2027.
yes, the questions James had, and wouldn't the audit be the way to dig in and get the answers to those
It's
questions?
certainly yeah, for me it is.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm open to the audit language, I'm open to taking it out, but not the financial statements. I think the audit's a good idea. I think it would be beneficial in multiple ways in helping getting some of this resolved. It's almost like paying somebody to do some of that legwork that we've been having questions about. Otherwise, the rural fire committee is gonna have to do all the legwork, right?
Just one other suggestion I heard was, to do some sort of internal audit. There again, the, professional I spoke to that could probably go along with his suggestion that we designate representatives here to sit down with the rescue service and go through financials. That's just a thought to share regarding,
I mean, I appreciate the offer, but are any of us qualified
No, I don't know.
to do that? I mean, I've got,
the first profit and loss?
right,
That's the other
And you don't
struggle.
audit based on Excel, you audit out of software.
well, and then you get the documentation to back it all up, right?
Right.
So,
How do you send a profit and loss for the year, and then send a second where you found $27,000? I used to do P&Ls for my business, it's all in QuickBooks, you code it goes where you want, you print it off, it's done.
if
So
it's
how do
set
you-
up right.
How do you find $27,000 a few weeks later?
That I don't have the professional.
I'm just pointing out factually what happened, I don't know the answer.
I mean, that's kind of disconcerting.
okay, any other discussion? Okay, I guess, is there somebody that would like to make a recommendation for wording regarding the financials we'd like to see and when we see them? That was already, from what I gathered, easily agreeable to the parties involved. And our last amendment did spell out a quarterly.
Right.
If you're going to sit down and look at the bills, I would suggest not doing it quarterly if you're gonna go that route. That's gonna be a lot for someone to sit down and look at, or a group of people, however it's done.
Okay.
They see them every month.
I mean, I think the wording that we have is already good.
I'm sorry,
I said, I thought the wording we came up with last time was already good. I mean, and that was based directly on the lawyer's recommendation. They should be readily able to be produced. I'm not suggesting the request for financial reports should be arbitrary and without limitation, but I am suggesting that the contract address of regular furnishing financial reports in the same way.
unless they want a definition of financial report. So do you want a profit and loss sheet? Do you want a profit and loss sheet and all the, copy of all the bills and checks and everything to verify to what?
Well, it's listed in here, income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement.
Say that again, go ahead.
Income statements, balance sheet, and cash flow statement.
I mean, I would think for the village board, those statements should be sufficient. If rural fire wanted to request a more detailed thing, that would be on them, right? But I think as for the village board purposes, those should be enough.
Rebecca, thoughts?
No, I mean, an income balance sheet, cash flow, I mean, just as long as, yep, we have this profit and loss statement, but where is, I guess, the documentation behind? Like, one of the things that we talked about on Wednesday, you know, one of the line items says, clothing, $11,211.59 is one of the things that was brought up. Well, we were told that the Friends reimbursed them for that money, for that dollar amount there, that the Friends, Black Creek, Friends compensated them for that money. So then now my question is, okay, that's fine, but now where is the check, you know, from Friends over to the rescue stating that dollar amount, you know what I mean? Like, to me, sometimes this is
That's
just
why really I'm asking, 'cause you're on
numbers
that
on
side of that
paper.
too, you know what you're looking for.
Right.
So those words that are in there, are those enough to get what you're looking for?
No, I think if you were gonna forego, an audit, if you wanted to go that route, then, in my opinion, personally, you would want a monthly profit and loss, and you'd want those records to match it up to. If you're just looking for, rural fire is gonna take care of this, if you're gonna say, we're gonna do, let's say an audit is approved, yes, rural fire is gonna check these, this is what the village board requests, then you have the minimal, but if the board is going to sit down and audit, you're gonna need copies of not only what's in there, you're gonna need the bills, the receipts, the check stubs, whatever.
The monthly profit and loss with all documentation.
Right, you're gonna need everything that goes with it to match it up.
You're saying if the audit language is taken out, we should beef
Right.
up the
If you were-
financial requirements,
Right, right, because
Makes
essentially
That
you're
might
gonna
be the
become
way
the
to do
auditor
it,
then.
because I don't know why you
I mean,
can't-
someone here then
if you
has to
give
become
us
the
numbers,
auditor.
why don't you give us the number where they came from?
Well, that's the confusing part to me. I thought as a government entity, you're required to provide that stuff, like even, again, the lawyer brought up, I was advised the village president asked for records related to the rescue service, and he was advised the same would only be provided pursuant to a public records request at some expense. Like, is that what we're gonna get every time we ask for stuff?
No, so that's what that's part of this agreement, has to be a monthly profit loss with all the documentation.
Just-
Right, that's what I think I hear you say, I don't know if that covers it in the right verb.
I mean, we could write it in, if there's questions, backup documentation must be provided at no cost.
Well, yeah, must be provided, yeah, I guess in today's world, you have to add that last part of it. Which should be provided to us no matter what, I mean. We're it. It's us, there's nobody else we're asking for documentation from, we're asking for it from ourselves. So I think if we could do that and get rid of the audit, I think that's doable. Not that I want to.
Not to mention, this stuff is written in the bylaws about financial monthly statements.
Yeah.
Not just verbally, but
Yeah.
written with the documentation too.
So just get that
Back
back,
up.
get that in there, and then that gets us through this gap here. And for that matter, then the village boards, or this entity, can keep thinking about what we will want or what's necessary for 27. Just like rural fire has to come up with what a rescue looks like, we have to come up with what we want it to look like for us, as far as documentation.
Yeah, and that kinda goes along with Justin's earlier statement about, getting organized to move forward. I think right now the holding point is this discussion right here. I know personally I had discussions with a number of the representatives from the other municipalities prior to this all started, okay? Where we know we have to address the future needs of the EMS. So if, in my mind, that's our next step after this, is,
So if we get these financials with all the documentation, that's the bottom line.
But who's gonna do it? That's the question. Who's got the time to sit there like, oh, going through that stuff, you know, it's a lot of work.
Monthly, right? We're talking about, like, give you documentation monthly.
Yeah.
It should be provided just.
yeah, it'd be similar to what you
It's
had.
similar to what you were doing tonight.
I would be content if it was done at rural fire and not the village board. What about you guys? Like, does the village board need this stuff? I think there's a lot of crosstalk between what rural fire should do and what the village board should do, right?
Well, that would mean, in today's case today, Rebecca, Tim, and Andy would have to go through all those and make sure everything was in order. Who are the representatives currently on the rural fire?
Yes, I agree.
At each meeting. At each meeting, you will find a meeting?
And then the
Yeah.
village board only gets the quarterly reports.
We'd have to change it, the documentation monthly, profit and loss and documentation, just like we did for Bob. In this gap here. I don't know any other way to do that. Does anybody else know any other way to do that, Andy, Rebecca?
No, I think we're getting somewhere.
We get that documentation, and I will be the first to tell you I'm not the one to design that, okay, that's not me. But I will take the input from anybody that wants to give the input to what they, but I think I got a really good example. I'm not on that committee anymore, but I did have a really good example. You have a great example tonight. You just went through it.
Okay. So, if we don't have any more discussion, would somebody like to make a recommendation based on this discussion?
Well, I'm a little confused here. So, I don't want. The goal right now is that to change the 2026 amendment or amend the 2025. Because back to my previous statement, unless any of you guys have the PDF software that allows you to adjust it, we can't adjust the 2026. That's why I did it this way, because it's a PDF. So either they would have to present us a new contract, or we work with something we can actually edit, which is where this went.
I
So-
did, sorry, good. That's
Well, I'm just
fine.
trying to figure out, I'm trying to pinpoint exactly our goal here, so when we go to vote, we're accomplishing what we're looking to accomplish. And we're not stuck in the circle again.
So at the last meeting, I did ask about getting an electronic file of the 2026 contract, but based on the discussion right now, we've been basing our discussion on the 2025 contract. That's what our attorney has lent an opinion on.
Okay.
So I would say, you know, I guess
So let's-
pursuant to the evergreen clause,
Word by line by line, or section by section, go through here, and everybody decide if that we're keeping that, or if we're redlining it out. So that way when we're done, we all know exactly where we stand, right? And then we can vote on it, and
okay, so then if we do that, we're looking at item number 3 in our amendment, and item number 4. We essentially agreed to the financials.
Right.
Previous to that.
so I think everybody was good with no wanna do in lieu of an audit that we gotta work out?
Yeah, I think just if you wanted to keep it that way, the other thing we can do is address it at Rural Fire regarding monthly, you know, financials. If we wanted to do that.
Right, my fear is that it's gonna go to rural fire, much like this amendment did, and they're gonna say, we already look at monthly financials, and so we're not doing that. Or they're gonna say we're doing it, we're already doing it, and we're gonna continue to do it. And is it really being looked at to the level of the board at this moment in time wants to look at?
Well, what is this? What is this thing called? This the financial committee thing that we gotta sign?
If you read on the top of the label, it's system generated, it's not in Excel.
Oh, well, I mean, as far as, it says it's gotta be audited by the finance committee, right?
Yes.
So what if we decided, in lieu of an audit, rural fire must sign off on all expenses every month?
That one is a check register quick. It says who the vendor is, the amount of the check, and any notes.
Right, but we all have to sign it to attest to it, right?
Correct.
So like, is there a way we could, with that kind of thing?
Do that same thing, that's what he asked, and we do that exact same thing.
That would, we'd have to find out if something similar can be generated with what Jenny does.
I'm just trying to pick out ideas of how to put the word
That's what we do.
into.
So
Should be, because this one report, she gave us the QuickBooks report, that's what that comes out of, is a
is
QuickBooks
that
report.
QuickBooks or is that in Excel?
No, this is a QuickBooks report.
So then QuickBooks, as long as you're using an updated version of QuickBooks, you can print out monthly, your receipts, your disbursements, absolutely, because that's what QuickBooks is designed to do.
So how do we word this?
What is that monthly, need a check registry and copy of all receipts?
That sounds essentially what we
All the
do.
expenses.
So they're provided a check register and a copy of all the bills. The receipts are all visible on the bank statement that they're provided every month, and I also provide a reconciliation, which shows all outstanding items as well.
Okay, so do we wanna just add that to the paragraph in item number 3?
Yeah, I mean, we come up with the right words, we should be able to just add it there. And take out the rest.
Strike out item number 4.
The attorney has comments on this. I don't know what I'm asking.
Yeah, I did. From his last letter. Needs to be done.
It's a pretty clear statement. That's got to be the amendment. Just name and place it.
Oh, you changed it to a measure.
Just like that.
Right,
Someplace to put it.
Can you explain to me how it costs $27,000 in 2 weeks?
And we know about any of that.
I don't know about it either, so I'm not, and that's my concern, right? So, I mean, again, stepping back to 2018, someone was charging the village, and 2 of those people on that committee are still sitting there, and they're the ones, one of them is the one who's been looking at the financials, so. So we have been audited since then, so I just,
Like a red flag for me is, the word says Amazon credit card, $500 payment, down here, upcoming bills, Amazon interest, $800, $500 higher than round numbers, it should, I mean, they had into the internet phone is 166.34, water was 248, ET right down to a penny.
Can you answer Tyler's question?
It's like on one of these reports, it looks like the bill for Amazon credit card was $500, 500.00. And then it said upcoming bills, Amazon interest, $800.
Well, so that is the fire department, has a BMO credit card. And so all that is that, I think the balance is like, $500 is paid on it. And so all that is just like the remaining balance to pay off the remaining rest, there.
Right. But what I'm saying is it should be, we should know what is being purchased at Amazon.
The full charges?
Right.
Yes, I do have, printouts, I don't have it with me, but yes, that would be me, and I do have printouts of what they purchased with that credit card.
Okay.
I have access to the Amazon account and I can print it out, I get the Menards receipts, yes, all of that is with that
That's the same
statement.
thing we're looking for from us.
In the folder, so at any time, yeah, you guys can, by all means, you want to look at the financials of the fire? I mean, it's all there, but yeah, that's what that is.
I mean, Justin brings up a good point too, it's never been done, and if things were properly entered into QuickBooks, where did the extra $20-some thousand, was that not properly entered in all year? And if it's not properly entered, that again leads to, well, that goes back to, if you're not doing it properly, you need to be audited. Because I really wish someone gave me an extra $20,000 somewhere, that would be a heck of a Christmas gift.
I mean, some of the stuff, I mean, like the FAT money and things like that, all can be, are verifiable, I don't know, no, I don't know. The gifts in kind, $2,000, I don't know.
If we have one
But I
more
think we
every
just
month,
need the
that'll be the end of that.
receipts to back it up.
Okay. So let's, hopefully we can come up with a motion here. Does somebody wanna try to word it in the form of a motion? That hopefully conveys what we want and Barbie can write it down.
It's just hard to vote on language you don't have hammered out. What I'd really like to see is the attorney give us the language that it should say, honestly, instead of us trying to come up with it, but.
It's possible, I mean, we don't have to decide tonight, but
We should still get the language, so it's just, we get it to the attorney, so that we're not waiting for another meeting on another attorney, blah, 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 blah.
Well, okay, forgive the newbies here. Are we allowed an uninformal vote to see where everybody stands? Or do we have to do an official vote to get everybody's opinion? So I guess the first vote.
You can discuss all you want.
Okay, so the first vote would be to accept it as it is, right?
That was already approved at a previous
Okay.
meeting.
so we,
So what do we need?
This
to
in
do?
its entirety was already approved, as it stands.
so we would have to amend the motions from when this was approved. Correct.
What are you doing with this?
We're just adding some language from item number 3 and striking out item number 4.
So you have a new amendment.
You're revised.
You have a revised.
It would be a revised
amendment, so it would be entirely new.
A whole new, yep.
Exactly. So, in other words, if we wanna make any changes, we get to do this again.
compare to section 3, the first party shall provide to the second party financial statements on are you going to monthly or keeping quarterly? So that was being changed to monthly basis to include but not limited to income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. And then you would strike to be provided no later than 45 days after quarter end, because that doesn't
Yeah,
make sense,
right.
correct?
Correct.
And you were asking for an income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow, that's it?
We discussed the check register and copies of the bills.
For all
Yes.
accounts, right? For all bank accounts.
They have full cash, correct, so they should only be, they're writing on 1 or 2?
Rescue has, looks like 2 checking accounts,
Okay, so.
and then there's the rural fire account as well.
There's interest based on accounts, potentially it says a short-term CD, so you'd want that as well. If they're holding money in a CD.
Right. What I mean, it's almost,
They have an assets, short-term CDs and other assets that would be shown on their bank statement, right?
Well, this is a statement of account from an old, I think she provided, we were doing
It should show on
at
there.
a couple of
Should
meetings
show on
ago.
So if you look on ours, our CDs and whatever automatically show up on, let's checking. Bank statements, business savings, check, there's no CDs on here.
I can't recall specifically what the CD was.
It would be whatever bank has the CD,
It seemed like
like the way you do.
it was a minor account, if I recall. It wasn't.
Well, if you have a balance sheet and a cash flow, do you really need, that
Right,
feels
no.
like duplicate work.
right.
And you have an income statement, and your base is covered.
Okay.
And then you were considering striking number 4, no audit requirement?
Correct, I haven't done
Yeah.
that for this gap year. 6 months.
So then number 5 would be affected as well?
Correct.
Yes.
No audits?
And that's the alternative. To what we already have.
Okay, so then 5.1 is affected. 2 is affected. And then the whole thing.
A lot of that is gone. So, would I be proper in asking for an amendment to our amendment in form of a motion? Does that make sense?
No, cause it's a revised, you'd be looking for a motion on the revised amendment agreement.
Okay, so be looking for a motion to revise the amendment agreement. That the village provided to Rural Fire.
can you help me?
Sure.
In witness whereof, I'm just making sure we're not missing that it says resolutions. Black Creek Road Fire Committee first party has duly adopted the resolutions of its committee.
I stole that out of the other one.
Where's the resolution? Caused by these presidents to be executed by its president and clerk. And the village of Black Creek Second Party has by duly adopted resolutions of its village board. Cause these presidents to be executed by its president and clerk. There's no resolutions. We need to change that.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay.
So we'd have to also strike part of that paragraph.
Barb, what should it say? Just the amendments? You know, the amended agreement?
Black Creek Rural Fire Committee, as by duly adopted.
I think what it's saying is that the rural fire committee properly voted upon the contract as presented to us. This is executed by its president and clerk, but that's for the rural fire. And then the village of Black Creek, the second party, is also. But as far as the resolutions part go, I'll defer to you guys on the expertise on when the resolution is going to be passed.
Just wanted to thank everybody for their patience. Obviously, this is very important, so we'll, so do you think something needs to be changed in that
I
paragraph?
don't know, but I just looked up the definition just for, I think it over, it just says simply a firm decision to do or not to do something. That's the definition of a resolution.
This clause is a formal statement found at the end of a legal agreement or contract. It confirms that both parties have officially approved and assigned the document through authorized representatives. In short, it's a formal way of saying both parties officially agreed to the contract.
Okay.
And it's their leader sign it to make it binding. That's what looks like.
Chair is looking for a motion to revise our amended contract.
I will make a motion to make, the revision to the amendments for the ambulance,
Could you please say what those amendments are specifically? Well, just so that we all know,
Yeah, I
and we're all
know, I
agreeing.
know. Okay. Can I read that?
No, you may not.
I heard.
Okay, so with that being said, section 2B is, the annual, so agreeing to section 2B. Annual fee charge based upon the second party's proportionate population set forth in the agreement in accordance with the most recent census, in accordance with the 2020 census. For the second party at $32,515.87. Which is approximately 34% of the total population serviced by the first party. This fee will be paid in, are we agreeing to 4 equal quarterly installments or, that's the other part,
Yeah.
or we agreeing to half and then half? Or are we going forward with all at once? Now that I read that,
Yeah,
that I
Good
know was
point.
another
No.
source of contention or an issue.
We discussed that. I don't know if we said anything, we discussed it. Cause they need some money up front.
yeah.
So that has to be a good catch, by the way, there's no reason to read it.
So can I say this fee to be paid for, 50 first, in 2 equal payments?
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
50% first half, second. And then,
Do you wanna specify the dates, cause they are specified in here?
well, the first date is January 15th, which is 3 days away. So, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's probably not going to work out.
February 15th?
There you go.
Amenable?
Let's do February 15th.
It was originally, payment is due by February 15th, and the old original contracts,
Perfect, so let's do February 15th. Last payment being, October 15th. Right?
Halfway through the year would be July 15th.
July 15th, sorry. Of the contract year. So February 15th and July 15th. Contract year. And then we are agreeing to section 2C. Basically the ambulance loan of 46,943.38. Section 5. Oops, sorry.
Number 3.
hold on, including the ambulance loan payment, okay, I had a math, go for it.
Okay, and then section 3, we're adding in the first party shall provide to the second party financial statements on a quarterly basis. Oh, I'm sorry, monthly basis. To include but not limited to income statement and balance sheet and cash flow.
At the bottom of this, it says to be provided no later than 45 days after the quarter end.
And we're gonna
So you're
strike
gonna have
that.
to, okay.
Yeah.
So are you gonna give a, right,
Well, I would think it should be done by the next Rural Fire Committee meeting, correct? Right? And along with check register, receipts, banking statements.
Hang on, those are check register, bank statements. You said receipts? Check register, bank statements, receipts, for all accounts. By, what was it?
The beginning of the month, for the Rural Fire Meeting.
Well, I mean, you can't do your monthly statements till the month ends, so it's typically somewhere between the 10th and the 15th that you have to provide your financial statements. I mean, at least that's how it works.
Cause ours are
for us.
backwards, that's why I have our.
So, what do we feel that is the proper?
Is rural fire usually like the first or second week?
First Wednesday of the month.
So
Second Wednesday of the month?
those statements would need to be provided the
Following meeting.
Provided, no later than the following meeting.
either the rural fire meeting or the village board meeting, just to be clear.
Rural Fire Meeting.
Okay.
That's totally good.
And then we're gonna strike through the audit.
So 4 and 5 are completely removed?
Correct. And then, I think that would, there's an agreement accept as it's currently amended, remains in full force and. Number 6.
have a motion made, do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, roll call.
Shannon Blake,
Yes, ma'am.
they're doing a roll call vote, I'm sorry. Did you vote in support of those amendments as stated or in opposition?
Oh, support.
Rebecca Bird,
Yes, in support.
Tim Dearmeyer,
Yes.
Andy Gleason,
Yes.
Corey Johnson, Tyler Rasmussen,
Yes.
Justin Stingle.
Opposed.
Those voting yes were Shannon, Rebecca, Tim, Andy, and Tyler. Those voting no were Corey and Justin. Therefore, the motion. Gary, you want to announce it?
Pardon me?
You can announce it, the motion.
Okay. The motion carried, is that all I gotta say? Alright, well, oh yeah, now we have to go back to approve payment of the voucher.
Yep, so, yeah, we'll make the motion and then someone will second.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted. So we had a motion to approve the vouchers.
So we have to make the motion.
We have to.
I will make a motion to approve the payment of the vouchers.
We have a motion made, do I have a second? We have a motion made and seconded to approve the payment of vouchers. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Oh, discussion, she has a question on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
I have a
sorry,
question.
I didn't know there was discussion.
And it's maybe because I know this is my first go round. I'm trying to, I found a transaction I have a question on. I think the sons may have been typed in wrong.
Possible.
Can I come?
Coming in?
But I'm not the break anymore.
Nope, you're fine. I don't read talking about it's way over there.
So I can find that one. But maybe it's on a different page. Where is it?
So North Park Street, Ball Diamond. So the addresses are out there. This is the huge group bill. This is our emergency siren. Call. Birch. It's very close. We got a, this is what we should be here, was our treatment plant, that's the well, water tower, first well. That's Memorial, this is the Ball Diamond. Oh, North Clark Street, Ball Diamond. Okay. This is 1676.
That's the last page.
That's, we put under here the same description that's on there, so that they're easier to. The second one? Is this one, is this part of the group one? No. Yes? It is. Well, they fall apart. So our group bill has a significant amount of different ones.
Understood.
That's
That's what I was confused. I found that one.
that one was stapled as well.
Okay, so our questions for? Okay. So I had a motion.
Rebecca made a motion and Cory Johnson
I
seconded.
had a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you all for your patience. Oh, the correspondence, sorry. Alright. Item number 1, letter from La Citadel, offer to purchase land. I don't have to comment.
No.
Item number 2, email from Jessica True, reference resignation from library board. Item number 3, letter from Rural Fire Committee, reference notice of contract termination. Now am I done? Okay. Thank you for your patience.
Hey, Andy? Andy?
The meeting is adjourned. Yes.
Andy, I have a question. Is there a way to put the meetings so that they're back up on the website? It took.
We can answer that after.
Okay, that's fine. Andy, did we adjourn the meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Okay.
I think they did. Check with the boss.
Guess we'll watch the YouTube video and put it out. Hi, Becky. Yes.